Welcome to Making Democracy Work, a monthly program on topics of community interest brought to you by the League of Women Voters of Honolulu and Olelo. My name is Pearl Johnson, Chair of the Planning and Transportation Committee of the League. Today we're going to discuss traffic, a topic on almost everyone's minds. And I have with me Keone Dudley, who is chair of Save Oahu Farmlands Alliance, and Cindy Frith, who is the organizer of Time Out Honolulu, which wants to have a timeout for rail. Dr. Dudley, I know that traffic, well, you live on the west side, so you know about traffic.
I sure do.
And it's going to get a whole lot worse if the city council does what?
If they vote for the HoOpili project, which is Bill 3, and it's coming up now, probably they'll have that vote on May 6th.
And that would be the final vote,
That
is
would
that
be
correct?
the final vote.
They've already voted twice.
Yes.
To push it on.
And you know, what they're really doing is just under the radar, trying to push this through as fast as they possibly can. And Pearl, I think this show is perfectly named, Making Democracy Work. I mean, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to make the people aware of what is being put over behind our back, you know, and how terribly bad it's going to hurt them. And we need the people to rise up. And that's democracy at work. So, you know, a great name.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm glad you thought of it.
That's true. Well, the other thing, too, about the whole HoOpili development, wanting to take 1,550 acres of prime ag land, some of the best ag land in the state, away for a housing development, which really in itself would not be so bad, except that it's just a continuation of urban sprawl. It's not really, even though they'll have 2 transit-oriented development stations on this piece of property, if they get their way, changing it from ag zoning into the residential zoning, which they would need to do, it still won't be anything but urban sprawl.
And worse than that, they don't need it. You
That's
know,
right. That's right.
The city, the Land Use Commission, sent in testimony which said they need 1,800 houses a year. Well, if you go from 2009 to 2035, which is, you know, the time frame that we work with on most things for statistics, if you take 1,800 homes and multiply it by that 26 times, you come up with 46,800 homes. And we've already got 53,000 zoned. I mean, before we go to HoOpili, before we go to Coral Ridge, 53,000 already zoned.
Yes, and you know, I believe it was just in today's paper. You know, they're saying demand is far outpacing construction and we need more houses. But already there are in place zoning for how many? 53,000
53,000,
homes.
and then another 5,000 for Coral Ridge.
Where are these lots?
Okay, these are all in the central area, the Leeward area, and the Waianae Coast. And and those statistics come right out of the HoOpili Development Plan, which is a recent plan, you know, and the central plan. I mean, these are figures that are absolute figures, and they're zoned, they are vested, which means that you can't take away that right. And most of them are connected with viable builders like a Gentry, like D.R. Horton, you know, and so
they're not being built because
the economy isn't ready for it yet, but they will be built over the next 20 years. And when we finish that 20 years, and that's what we're talking about on this show, the traffic that is going to come from those is going to be just absolutely crushing. You know, I know you just arrived back home during the time of the Zipmobile problem.
Oh my!
and got caught at the airport. That's a tremendous story.
Yes.
Okay, but Pearl, if you take that experience that is going to be the daily experience of everybody coming from the west side and central, because you have to go through that H1, H2 merge, and then you're on the freeway and it can't be widened. You know, it's off the land. It's 30 feet off the ground, you know, and they're putting an extra lane right now on the return home, but the planning, the going into the city, there are no plans for the next 100 years to build a lane there, and it's going to be really, really difficult to do if they ever do it. Mm-hmm. Now, we're stuck then with 5 lanes going into town, and you can take all the traffic in the world that you want, but you got to get it all down onto those 5 lanes.
I believe that we have an illustration here showing why we cannot have more than 5 lanes.
Yeah, could you move it back just a tiny bit? Okay, and maybe we can get yeah, that's good. Okay, and can we get a close-up of that so that we can see it? Maybe yes, and maybe, there we are. Okay, that's fantastic. Now you can see over here that there are pillars, and you can see over here that there are pillars. And there are 70 feet between there and there. 70 feet.
And now, where is that?
Okay, this is just town side of the H1, H2 merge where they come together. So we're headed into town, and we're going under the Farrington Highway and Kamehameha Highway overpasses. And we've got 6 huge pillars on the right, and we've got another 6 huge pillars on the left. And people who are familiar with this area know that the rail, it's just beyond this, is going to be crossing over also, and blocking any possibility of doing anything on the other side of the pillars. But in actuality, these roads come together anyway, and so there's just no possibility of getting anything more in there. Now, let me tell you that a lane has to be 12 feet wide according to code. If we take 5 times 12, that's 60 out of the 70 feet, and you're left with that 10-foot shoulder that you can see there. And they could narrow the lanes down to 11 feet, which they've done here in the city. It's against code, but they can get permission to do it for short distances. And they could get through there with 6 lanes. However, they'll never, ever, ever in history be able to get more than that through there, 6 lanes. And when you take the traffic, this is the interesting thing is, on Tuesday, Wednesday last week, when we had that terrible Zipmobile problem, people were squeezing into 3 lanes. Today's houses, the number of houses is 95,000 houses, got into 3 lanes. When we almost double that with HoOpili and the other 58,000 houses out there, which is 70,000 altogether, when we almost double that, then we're trying to get all of those houses into 5 lanes going into the city. It's going to be worse than the Zipmobile problem. You know?
Well, it sounds to me as though it will be an F total gridlock.
Oh yes, there's just no question about that.
Yeah.
And the time it's going to take to get to the city is the same amount of time that it took on Tuesday to get home.
Yeah, yeah.
And for people who were caught in the traffic on Wednesday, I was coming into town on Wednesday and I got a call saying, don't come. And so I turned around at the airport and I got into the zipper lane, but we were following the Zipmobile finally getting fixed. And the Zipmobile is going at about 17 mile an hour, and we were passing up everybody else who was just sitting still.
Oh,
you know?
You're lucky you lived through that.
And we made it back to Waipahu in something like an hour, you know. And the poor people sitting in traffic. Now that's what they're going to encounter. And to get back to our problem that we're talking about with democracy, that's what the city council is doing this week, you know, and every week now up until May 6th. And so people have got to do something about it. You know, they have got to let the city council know that, you know, you can't do this to the people. You just can't. And if people would like to know a good way to do that, they could go to our website, which is www.HoOpiliTraffic.com. Well, that's our website itself. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. And it says, hate the traffic on Oahu. It's about to get a whole lot worse. Well, it is because of your city council. paging on down. Why don't we go down farther on the page and show them, okay, there you can go to our petition. Now, if you push that little petition button, you can sign a petition about this. 1,395 people have signed it so far. That's pretty fantastic.
Great.
Okay.
Terrific.
Now let's go
Well,
back to the...
I'm afraid that we're taping this on April 7th, but I don't think you're going to be seeing this until May. So it may be too late.
Okay.
So you can call your city council person and say, why did you do this? Because I'm afraid that we will not be able to stop it, but we can hope.
We still might be doing this in May, though.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I just want to say one more thing about the website is just below that section, there's another place where all of this emails for the city council members are. You can just make a copy of that, put it into your to form, and send off a short letter to them real fast. And that, no matter when it is, that would be a big help. That would be a big help.
And you have to keep in mind too, Pearl, that if we are able to actually get a timeout, have them stop, have them reassess what's going on with the financial piece of this, how it's exploded well above what they said it was going to cost, and the fact that they never really truly vetted the alternates, and there are alternates.
For rail.
For rail,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So it's very important to understand that we could have a much better system to really actually help traffic congestion. Now, I'm not saying then it would be okay to build HoOpili, because I don't know offhand, and I'm not a traffic expert, but I don't know offhand, adding all the cars, potential cars from Koa Ridge, HoOpili, and all the houses that could be built to 54,000, if all the alternatives would still work as well. So again, but there are alternatives to help with our current. I mean, we need help right now with the congestion. It's only going to get a lot worse moving down the pike.
That's right. You know, Pearl, right now, traffic on the H1 in the morning, I live up on the hill and I can look down at it. Once a week, it's backed up all the way to Makakilo. On an ordinary morning, 3 or 4 times, it's backed up 4.5 miles.
Oh my.
You know, that's with the lanes that we have at the present time. Now, part of the agreement is that they're going to add another lane at the expense of D.R. Horton, which is really wonderful, except as Panos testified, that lane goes up to the H1, H2 merge and stops. And so instead of having 4 lanes cramming into 3, or we're going to have 5 lanes cramming into 3.
And Panis has let us know, with no uncertainty in commenting on this, that a choker is a choker is a choker. And he said the only thing that will happen is your choker will get worse when you try and take 5 lanes and put them into 3.
Now, I want to go back to the rail, though, for 1 second and just say that,
okay.
you know, you were talking about the rail, but Panos was just did the segment last month. And one of the points that he made was that all of the plans for HoOpili are that only, was it 4% of the...
That's right.
4% of the trips out of HoOpili are going to be on the rail. That means 96% of the trips going out of HoOpili are not on the rail. That's
right.
Pretty phenomenal.
It
Pretty
is,
phenomenal.
it is, yes.
You know?
And this is transit-oriented development.
Yeah, yeah. And then you take somebody who, like me, okay, I live up the hill. So what do? I walk out of my house, I walk up 2 blocks and catch a bus. Now it takes me 15 minutes right now to drive down to the place where the train is going to be. It'll take the bus a half hour to get down there. Then it's going to take me 40 minutes to get into town. Then I have to catch another bus and go to my job. And you know, pretty soon, when you add up all that time, no matter how bad this traffic is, at least I can take my kids here and I can pick up stuff there and I can, you know. So are people really from all over going to use the rail? I think we've got a terrible calamity coming with traffic. And I think that we've got to really get people to rise up and then to stop it, because
It's not just the money. You know, I live on the other side. I live on the windward side of the island. And if it were just about the money, that would be one thing. But it's also about this terrible traffic congestion. And it's really disingenuous, in my mind, that the powers that be, the city council, the mayor, and some of the state people too, that they're just ignoring the fact that this rail will not reduce traffic congestion for any. It's the 1 to 2% decongester for all of this money, you know, and we've basically been lied to.
Now, Pearl, if you take the people who are caught in this traffic, you know, let's look at their lives. Right now, they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get the kids up, get the kids off, and then they go on to work. They come home in the afternoon. What time are they getting home? I've been campaigning in the past, you know, in the area, and you go door after door after door before 5 o'clock, before 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening. Nobody's home. The kids are home, you know, latchkey kids home by themselves. Now we're going to be adding another hour, hour and a half to going into town and coming out of town. The kids are home all that time. You drop off the kids at school farther into the darkness of the morning. You pick them up in the evening after dark at school. Who's taking care of them during that time? Who's taking care of the kids at home? What do you miss yourself because you're in traffic for 3 hours in each direction? I mean, you know, your life goes by. You don't see the kids in their games. You don't see your family grow up. You don't have family dinner together. Your kids get home too late to do homework. You don't have that structure in your family that you need. I mean, you know, you go and you look at your own personal health and the stress that's going to be taken out. You know. Your workplace, the situation is going to be worse. I want
to bring up another aspect of HoOpili. We're taking away over 1,500 acres of prime farmland. Now, this farmland is irreplaceable. Not only is the soil deep and fertile, it is close to transportation. It has water. It's flat. It's easily tilled, so that it is so ideal for agriculture.
And don't forget the sunshine. It has the best, the best exposure to sun. They can do 4 crops a year. Only place on the island besides Koa Ridge where they can do 4 crops. They might not even be able to because they're up at a higher elevation. I'm sorry.
That's right. So that not only is it the best farmland on this island, it's the best farmland in the state. It could be the best farmland in the world. And we're going to be covering it with houses. But not only that, when they build the houses, they're going to scrape off
all that good
fertile soil.
They have to. They can't. It's too soft for them to put foundations.
It does not make a good foundation for a home. So that if we should ever come to our senses and say, let's farm that land, we can't. It will be gone forever.
That's right. You're absolutely correct.
So if you're watching this, after the city council has done its damage, make them undo it. Make them undo it. It can be undone. The first house has not been built.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, Pearl, Governor Jerry Brown in California in the last couple of days now, came out with new restrictions. He's told the people that they need to use 25% less water. And, you know, that's such a blow to everybody. What on earth is this all about? Well, as you read, you know, the farmland, the people have left because it's dried up. There's no water. And what that means is, you know, California is really our breadbasket. Prices are going to go higher for food.
Absolutely.
Will we be able to afford it? You know, as time goes on and we've got the rising seas and the problem with climate change, there are going to be carbon taxes and carbon trade-offs and so forth. And as soon as we get those carbon imposition of you can't use any more carbon than this, what is that? That means gasoline? So, the price of gasoline is then going up. We're going to have higher priced food. We're going to have higher price. We're not going to be able to bring stuff in because it's going to be too high priced to bring it in. And we're going to have to, at that time, be able to provide for ourselves. And the important thing that we're talking about this being in the lowland is that foods grow better, some higher and some lower. Some can take the upper lands where the overcast is all the time and gets plenty of rain, and some just plainly can't. And it's the basic foods that we rely on that need the lower lands.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And when we cover HoOpili over, we've covered all the lower lands over. I mean, there's no more lower lands that are in farmland. And that is the total insanity of it all.
It doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
no. And you hear our elected officials talk about, oh, well, we have to be more sustainable and taking care of ourselves. And then they do this to this wonderful farmland. It just doesn't make, it's very disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's a statistic that everybody is pretty familiar with. We import 90% of our food, and HoOpili is 32% of the land producing crops for the local market on Oahu. And we just can't afford to do that. I mean, it's just plain nuts, and it's also a social justice problem. It's not fair to future generations.
Let's make that a little clearer. 10% at most of our food is grown here.
Correct.
And of that 10%, HoOpili grows 32%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are taking out much of our own local production.
Absolutely.
And when you add Koa Ridge onto that, it's 45% of the land on Oahu producing crops for the local market, which are in production now. I mean, you shouldn't be taking farmland that's in production.
That's right. We really haven't talked about Koa Ridge. Koa Ridge will also be adding to the traffic,
Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely.
As well as taking farmland out of production.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what is the status of Koa Ridge? Does it still have to be rezoned?
They
or
have,
is it
they have rezoned.
all
They have
right, so
rezoned that.
it's ready to go.
Except there's still a Supreme Court case.
Yes,
I
there
see.
is.
That's going
right.
to be heard on May 25th.
But as far as city action is concerned, it's ready to go.
Right,
Only
yeah.
the courts can stop it.
Yeah.
So that, at least with HoOpili, the city council has one more vote to take.
Well, they have to. They have to actually. I think on April 30th, they're going to have their final zoning
Right.
committee meeting, and then they will make their decision on May 6th when the whole council gets together.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have one more bite at the apple, so to speak, and
That's
it
right.
really is imperative that people get in touch with, especially their own city council member. that-
No, all of them.
Yeah,
of
but
them.
all of them,
Yeah.
but your own particularly, and let them know how displeased you are and what might happen to the vote that you gave them. I mean, this is what they understand. If they can't be reelected, they're out.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I just, because we're getting towards the end of the program again, I want to, and people sometimes watch the beginning and not the end of it and so forth. I want to mention the website,
Please
which is
do.
www.hoopilitraffic.com. And if you go to that website, you'll get so much more information. You'll also find out ways to sign our petition. You'll find out actions that you can take, the ways to contact us, ways to offer your help to us. At the same time, there is a place that has all of the email addresses for the city council members. You can just copy that and paste it into the to section of your email and write them away. And as simple as that, it doesn't take much time, And so we really, there it is right at the bottom of the screen, that little tape under the red there. You just copy that out and put that into your computer and send it off with a little message from you to all of these city council members. It's that easy. It's that easy.
And also, we have at Time Out Honolulu, we have a very active Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, by all means, check us out at Time Out Honolulu.
Good. You know, we've got a lot of things going besides the website. We're really working now with social media, and you know, people are giving us they're not giving us their lists of people, but you know, they're willing to contact their list of people. They're putting our stuff on their Facebook pages and so forth, and I think the movement is spreading. I think that we do have time between now and May 6th. If we're able to spread it out farther than that, we'll have even more time. You know, it's time for the people just really to rise up, and this is how making democracy work.
I believe that's what it will take, and it is doable.
Yeah.
You know.
We're planning to have a big rally at the City Hall before the final vote is taken, whenever that final vote is taken.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
It would be good if we could postpone and postpone and postpone.
Well, or just defer permanently.
Well, I think the main thing here is to account for the money. We need to have, that's what Time Out Honolulu is all about. We need to have what they call a forensic audit. It's just like if you watch TV and you see the body that's been shot or found dead in a trunk or whatever, and they go in and they have a forensic.
You're talking about rail now.
Yes,
Yes.
but I'm saying it's the same idea, that you really go in looking for specific problems. It's not a superficial, over-the-top kind of skimming. It's a really deep look into the auditing, how the money's being spent. And then after that, we need to have all of the alternatives properly vetted so that we can see not only where the money has gone now in a system that's not going to get rid of traffic congestion to any great degree, and figure out how to use one that will do that.
That's right. So traffic is going to be much, much worse, and with HoOpili and Koa Ridge, oh gosh, we don't even want to think about it, right?
We sure don't.
And rail, if it is built, will do nothing. Will do nothing to relieve the traffic.
4%.
Well, that's only for HoOpili.
Right.
Originally, the saying is that by 2030, traffic congestion will be worse with the rail than without the rail. So that's in itself is a damning statement. Why would
Yes.
you build this thing in this manner with costing so much money and not working?
Yes. All right. Time is up.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm Pearl Johnson, and thank you, Dr. Keone Dudley
My pleasure.
and Cindy Frith.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for watching.